I did not ask to be born, and neither did you. Yeah, you, the one I'm pointing at. You. None of us chose this life, and this video is going to be a bit different from what you guys may think it's going to be. It's not going to be me just complaining and saying, well, life sucks, well. No, it's not going to be me crying like I always do. It's gonna be a bit different. I did not ask to be born, so it feels very weird now, at least now with this self-awareness. It feels very weird to be labeled as things that don't really define who I am. Race, right? Every job application you fill out, everything you have to fill out that has to do with some sort of paperwork or whatever, they're going to ask you how old you are, and then they're going to ask you what your race is. If you're in the United States, or I don't even know if it's just me, but where I live, they always ask you if you're Hispanic or not. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know what that's all about. But then obviously they're going to ask you for your race, right? And if you're white, you have to fill in white, and if you're whatever, you have to fill in whatever. And I just started thinking, like, why does this all even have to be a thing, right? I was watching Spongebob a few days ago. Really good cartoon. By the way, this video is gonna have some pauses because a lot of aircrafts around here. It's so annoying. And when I was watching Spongebob, I was like, I mean, obviously it's a children's show, but I was like, damn, it's pretty interesting how there's no like categories, like, oh, there's this group of things, sponges, fishes over there, lobsters over there. Let's create a society where we separate each other into different species or whatever. No, they don't do that. They just casually interact. They don't care if they're talking to a fish. They don't care if we're talking to a sponge, a starfish. It doesn't matter what you are. They just, you know, that doesn't really matter in that world. And obviously real life is not a children's show, but you know, real life just has to be complicated for no real true reason. This whole thing about race is just completely made up. Like, it's just made up just to separate us. That's it. That's it. It's literally just skin. That's it. It's just skin color. Does this have to have that much importance? Does this have to be so important that we ask everyone that even tries to get a job what race they are? Why does it matter what race they are? Why? It just doesn't really make sense, right? And people are probably going to be like, oh, they use it to collect data about specific races. You see, that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, why did this have to begin entirely, right? And obviously it began hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds, maybe even thousands of years ago, you know, with the early humans. They made race as important as it is, even though it shouldn't really be that important. It should not. I'm just tired of the labels, right? I'm tired of it, man. Every time I fill out black on a job application, black. I mean, most of the time I just click prefer not to say, because I already know just by filling out black, that's gonna reduce my chances. And also, one thing Life Outrage mentioned in his latest video was how, you know, people were like butchering his name and stuff, and that's pretty interesting because that's been happening to me my entire life. And it's come to the point where now, like, when I order food at Starbucks or anywhere and they're like, what's your name? I just say the first initial. That's it. I don't even say the actual name. And they're like, oh, that's it? Yep, that's it. Because I'm not gonna sit here and listen to you try to pronounce my name. Like, it's just not gonna happen. And it's come to the point where people literally just, like, people that are not in my same like ethnicity, I just tell them, yo, just call me by my initial. That's it. Just call me by my initial, because I'm just not gonna bother. And the funny thing is, people that I've had as friends for like years, they can't even remember my name. That's how insane it is. So they always refer to me by just my initial or just another nickname. That's it. So I just found it very interesting how he brought up that point, because that's been happening to me my entire life, right? But that's besides the point. My point is, every time I have to fill out, oh, I'm black, it just feels so weird, because Yeah, technically I'm black, but that's just such a superficial way to characterize someone. And this goes for all races. I'm Asian, I'm Indian, I'm white. Like, why does that matter? That's not who you are. That's not who you are, right? It's the same thing with height. You might be 5'6", 5'11", 5'12". No, that's not a thing. I'm 5'11". Does that really matter? No. It's just something that I just was born with. Well, yeah, my genetics. These things that we can't control should not really matter. It's about the things that we can control, right? That's at least how it should be. But they do matter because we live in a pathetic world. I don't care about what your race is. I don't care about what your height is. I don't care about what you look like. It's about it should be about the actual person, your personality, what you believe in, you know? And that's kind of why when it comes to like dating, right? It just never made sense to me when people say, I prefer this race, I prefer that race. I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but it just feels weird. Because a lot of the times people say this because of stereotypes, and like, for example, people will be like, oh, I'm not into black dudes, they just seem too ghetto for me. Is every black dude ghetto? Is this black dude ghetto? The one you're listening to? No. And then let me think of another example. There's like people that don't want to date Asian men because they're like feminine. They're too feminine. And I actually, to be honest, that's primarily just Asian women. They literally say, I don't want to date Asian men. They kind of look like my brother, right? They're too feminine. They're too twinky. Is every Asian dude like that? No. You see what I mean? People just attach things to people just because of their race, when that's not really the case for everybody. Everyone's different. Like, again, your skin color, it does not matter, or it should not matter. But in this world it does, clearly, because even though me, right, as a black dude, just listen to my voice, right? Do I sound like a you know, YN? Do I sound like a thug? No. When I go out in public and I'm just doing my thing, you know, people are gonna have these misconceptions about me. They're gonna be like, oh, that dude looks like a thug, that dude looks like this and that. And it's just like, it's not about who I am, it's not about what I represent. It's about this, right? It's about this. Oh my god, my skin is terrible, by the way. It's about a color, light bouncing off of the surface of our eyes. That's what it's about. And that makes people automatically conclude certain things about me. That's not true. And if I were to go to like a store, right, I could just be chilling, doing whatever, just shopping just like everybody else, and I'm gonna be the one that's followed. Even though I didn't do anything wrong, I'm gonna be the one that's followed, right? The white people are not going to be followed. You know, if the black people are not going to be followed if they're at least with you know, if they're with family and stuff. If it's a young black dude by himself, or maybe with other people, they're going to be followed, right? Even if they're just trying to shop just like everyone else. Insane, right? Insane how people draw conclusions about a person they know nothing about just because of the color of their skin. And it's such an interesting thing, because if, like, let's just say a white dude or an Asian dude walked into a store by himself and they had the exact same outfit as me, they were the same height as me, or at least within that range, they would not be followed. Even if they had pretty much the same aesthetic, they would not be followed. I would be followed, because something I can't control and something that doesn't really define me, well, in this society it does define me. It does. I could be a dude that just hangs out inside all day, doesn't leave my room, you know, watches anime, plays video games all day, and then when I step outside, the contrast in the way, you know, the contrast is just so interesting, because I'm a nerd, and yet that's not really how I'm perceived, unless I were to look a certain way. It's very interesting. And I've even had like Discord friends I talk to, right? I remember this very specifically. I had these two Discord friends. Well, they lived in my city, but I didn't meet them until like a month after talking on Discord. So then, and this is a few years ago, by the way, but they heard my voice, and then I only showed them what I look like after about like 2 weeks, a week, I don't remember. But he's like, wait, what? You look like that? Are you serious? I'm like, what's the problem? He said, wait, I thought you were white the entire time. You see what I mean? It's just a cruel world we're living in, where things that we can't control just, are extremely important. And the only thing we're told is that's just life. Life is unfair, right? You could have your job application rejected just for having a specific name, just for being a specific race, and you're just supposed to say, oh, that's just life. Life isn't fair. Are you serious? Like, I'm just sick and tired of that saying, right? They always told us this since the beginning, right? I'm like, what do you mean this is just life? Yeah, that's why life is terrible. That's why it's terrible, because you're judged based on things that you can't control. And not only that, but in terms of this game, this made-up game that we created, things that you can't control heavily determine your success in the game. People that are born as white automatically, they start the game and they're automatically level 10. People that are black, they're like, what, level 2? I mean, come on, man. People that are ugly, well, you start the game at level 0. Literally, you start the game at level 0. Like, and it's very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. And by the way, I'm not saying that people that are black or, people that are disadvantaged, I'm not saying that they can't have good lives. Obviously they can. But I'm saying that they clearly don't have the advantages that other people do. That other types of people do. That's just 100% true. A white dude has never been rejected for having a specific name. I probably have. That's my point I'm trying to make. I'm not saying that my life sucks because of who I am. No, I can still have a good life, right? I'm still chilling. I'm not poor. I'm not starving. I'm sitting here with my skateboard. Got a $600 iPhone, even though it's iPhone 11, which is old as hell, but I still got an iPhone. I have nice clothes, at least nice in my opinion. Like, I'm not saying that you can't be living a decent life if you're not white or if you're disadvantaged. I'm not saying that at all. So if you come up on here talking about, oh, you just have to work hard, man, stop pitying yourself. No, that's not really, I made my point very clear again. And this kind of has been a thing where I made my point very clear in the video, right? And then someone comments something that could very easily be answered, and it just makes me think. And I'm not talking about my subscribers, I'm talking about these people that clearly don't like me, that watch my videos. And the funniest thing about these people is that they make stupid comments. They obviously don't like me, but then they mention a point in my video that I made midway through the video or even late into the video. Like, it could be 20 minutes into a video and they'll mention that point even though they don't like me. Does that make any sense whatsoever? Does that make any sense, guys? Watching someone that you don't like. And the thing is, one of them even commented on my video a few days ago talking about, well, actually I didn't even hear what read what he said, because I banned him on a previous account, and then he came back and I read a little bit, and then he mentioned that I banned him on another account, and then I just banned him right after that, because I'm like, I didn't even bother reading what he said. I didn't bother with it. He wrote a whole essay, and it's just like, I just find that very, very strange, because there's, when it comes to people that I don't really care about, content creators, I'm not going to watch their videos. I'm not going to comment on their videos. I don't even think about them. But then you have dudes come up on here talking about, I hate you, tragic reality. Oh wait, let me also just make another account because you banned my first account so I can keep commenting. Like, humanity, man. Humanity, stupidity just never ceases to amaze me. But anyways, on to the point. So yeah, the point is that clearly there's one group that's advantaged, or many groups that are advantaged. There are groups that are disadvantaged, and it could be as simple as, once again, right here, color. Just picture this as white. If this was white right here, I would have a better job by now, maybe, who knows. Maybe that one hiring manager a few years ago would have, might have actually accepted me. And I'm not saying this is definitive. I'm not saying 100% the reason why, I didn't get specific things is because I'm black. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it could be. It could be. I'm tired of people pretending like this stuff doesn't happen. I'm tired of it, man. It doesn't matter if black people can be successful. Yeah, obviously they can. No one's denying that. You see all these rappers? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's much harder for them to be successful compared to white people. It is. Oh, and also it's not only about success and money. It's also about, if you want to be dating, let's be real here, right? A guy that looks like me, I'm gonna be brutally honest about myself. I'm not very masculine looking. I'm not. Now, the only thing I have is, I say I have a decent physique. I have a six-pack. Well, it's not really like a defined six-pack, but it's still there. It's visible. I have some muscular definition. That's about it. That's not enough for a female of any race to want to be interested in me, right? I'm not very masculine looking. I don't have facial hair. I'm 150 pounds. So that's pretty skinny for a dude that's 5'11", right? So yeah, I'm just not the type of dude that a woman is looking for, right? And it's probably gonna get worse the older I get, because I feel like I have genes that make me look very young for my age, right? I don't look like I'm 24 years old. I look like I'm 17 years old, right? People might say, oh, that's good, but then again, in terms of like the whole dating thing, pretty much just, if I actually cared about dating, which I don't, I wouldn't even have a chance even if I cared. I'm just gonna be brutally honest. But the thing about me is I never personally, I never really cared about this all that much, even though it's 100% true, even though that woman definitely would not want to be into me. I never really cared about this, to be honest. I've had a few girls that were interested in me, and I was interested in them, but never really worked out. But I'm not really the one to go after girls anyway. The way I met the first two was kind of like coincidence. I'm not really the one to use dating apps and, well, I can't get a girlfriend, where? No, I just don't really, I don't really care, to be honest, right? Like, if I can see into the future and find out that I never get a girlfriend ever again, then honestly that's fine, to be honest, because there's just so many other things that life has to offer. This stuff has never made me lose any sleep, ever. It just never did. And some people just might not believe me and be like, oh, you're lying, you're lying, man, you would definitely want some action. It is the way it is, right? I'm done explaining myself to people. People just don't understand that there are people out there that don't care about the same things that they care about, the same things that society tells them that they should care about, right? There are people like me who don't care about these things. It's the same thing I was talking about with being rich, right? Most people would be like, oh, you're saying you wouldn't be happy if you were rich? Lie. Oh, you're saying that you would you're fine with never getting some action? Lie. It's just so mind-blowing to them that they just can't believe it. But that's fine. I'm not really here to convince people to believe whatever. You can believe what you want about me. I don't really care. Like, it is what it is.